education as well as high quality trade dissection and analysis, you've come to the right place. My name is Pat Mitchell. I've been a professional day trader for the past 11 years, and I'm here to do exactly that. Give you professional level and high quality day trading education, all here for free, right on YouTube and on X. So let's get into it. I've got a great lesson for you, and then also a side lesson that I think you guys will be able to benefit from. A little bit of a story from this evening with something that's happened here at the property. So let's go over these trades here first, and then I'll tell you a little story. So I hope you all had a wonderful day. Give me one quick sec, just getting the charts up. Okay, let me kind of get situated here, nice and centered. Okay, let's rock and roll. So our main watch was on Qs here today, and we were able to execute that, and we were watching for both long and short. Now, the short didn't quite trigger. We needed it into this level, which was the previous close. And normally, we would have no problems executing that short where it was. Like, it was just about within risk tolerance to start in. It would be wide, but we had to risk off of moving averages. And then those moving averages then extend that risk a little bit. So no dice. On SPY, basically the same thing. But then what we got was a nice sell-off coming down into our support level here, which was the gap fill. The gap fill, and I wanted to start in right here. So right there was high of day from this day. And that would be, if you look left, the first level of support on the way down. And it came into that, and that was the first trade. And there was a little bit of a bounce there. So as it comes down, I start in, I pay myself. As it drops, looking like it's confirming, I enter again and then pay myself. Remember, I've talked about this a lot. When I'm starting to get a feeling for that trade, when I initiate a trade, I'm never looking for that big, huge run immediately. You have to start feeling that trade out. What does it want to do? Does it want to hold that first level of support? Or does it want to fail that and come to the next level of support? There's support and resistance everywhere. And it's about never throwing everything at it, like just firing all bullets in that mag, right? You don't want to do a mag dump when we're looking at trading. You don't want to do that because you always need to be prepared for it to come down lower into other support levels. And at that time, it was actually giving a reading that it was going to head down a little bit lower. And that was due to SPY. SPY was and had a lot of distance down into its support level where Qs was a lot closer. So one of two things are going to happen. Qs is going to find its support level first and then bounce, bringing SPY up as well. Or Qs will not respect its levels, its technical support levels at all, and it will then wait for SPY to come down. So that's kind of the game we're playing. And that's why I'm starting in, paying myself on those little pops up. I'm always looking to bank some sort of money. And that's why I'm always green in these trades. Well, most people would be red because I'm never willing to give up that profit. Okay. I'm always wanting to make sure as a professional trader, this is what I do for a living. Okay. If I fail this, I fail my family. This is how I provide for my family. So I need to make sure that I'm paying those bills. So that's what I do. I lock in, and then if I deem necessary and risk parameters are fine, I will add back in. And that's essentially what I did. We still had major support here. This support is a pretty big deal. And because it is that gap fill, there will be buyers there. And that's what happened. Now, sure, it slipped that little bit lower, and that's because of SPY. SPY having that much extra distance. At that time, SPY is continuing to sell off. SPY has no support, right? So Qs and SPY are feeling each other out. That's kind of how you have to look at it. You got to not be looking at these charts. Too many people, I've seen this a million times on all these channels. and all these traders where they look at charts like they are rigid, like they are, I guess, dead is the best way of putting it. And these charts are not dead. They are alive. You have to look at these charts as living, breathing animals that think and eat and sleep and have emotion. They do everything just like us. If you can put yourself in the shoes of the market and you can think kind of outside the box, right, with a little bit of depth, you'll see that your trading will turn around really, really quickly because you're looking at these charts in a different way, the way that they need to be looked at. They need to be looked at like they are, in fact, living, breathing animals. And they do think, and they have plans, and they plot, and they do everything that humans do. Why is that? Because each one of these candles represents emotion. That's all this is. This is human emotion put to chart or paper or computer monitor, however you want to put it. That's what this is. That's what this chart is. It's a direct representation of human emotion in physical form. That's what it is. So it is living and it is breathing, and you need to remember that. So that's what Q's is doing down here. Q's is, in fact, feeling out what SPY wants to do. They're both feeling each other out. So it broke this level, but it is well within my tolerance of risk. In fact, it only broke this level by 50 cents. And for members and people that have been on this channel a long time, they know what I say about 50 cents. Fuck 50 cents. That doesn't mean anything. Far too many people stop out in these trades because it wants to break a level that you placed on it. Now, yes, it is a technical level of support. It is a level, a proper level, but it is something that doesn't need to hold. That is an area at which we start buying. That's how you have to look at these levels. Now, I'm going to remove that level here because that's not what was up here, and I don't like keeping levels up that were not placed prior to the market open. These levels, whenever you watch my videos, these blue levels or trend or any type of technical analysis that I've done on these charts, it is all done prior to the market open. They are placed usually in the evening around this time, and then they are tweaked coming into the market open at 9 a.m. every day. So executed the trade, paid myself on that push up, and then I was looking for that ad on a remount. This was also a way for members that fumbled this trade because they're learning it's going to happen. They fumble the trade, they execute the trade, they get back in, and then they reap the rewards of trading properly. And that's exactly what has happened. Now, I ended up locking about 75% on this, somewhere in that neighborhood. So really, really nice trade. And it went way higher. Like on this here, this thing was an absolute beast today. So I locked in $4,765. Really nice trade. Now I want to tell you guys a little story, and I think it's beneficial for everyone. I'll try and make it quick. I don't want to bore you guys too much. But trading has to do with emotional control. And something happened here tonight on my property. For those that don't know, I live on a huge piece of property in the mountains of Costa Rica, and we're developing the property. And I have a gun range down in one of my parts of my property. So my son and I, my son's down here visiting. So we went down to go do some shooting, and I was showing him how to operate an AR-15. And I shot my first 10. I went to go check out the paper because we were at distance. So went to go check and see. And as I'm approaching the target, I hear my son call out, "I think I just got stung." So I start walking back towards him, and he's kind of pulling at his ear. And I look at his ear. Sure enough, there's a stinger in there. And no big deal. I pull the stinger out. He's fine. And then all of a sudden, another one whacked him. And then it's on. So this has happened to me once before on the other side of Costa Rica at an Airbnb we were staying at. We got attacked by Africanized bees, killer bees, Chrissy and I. And we got swarmed by, it was a black cloud that came inside the house. Tens of thousands of bees came and swarmed us. And that's just what happened just now. And I told Liam, let's go into the building. So we start running into the building because I have a building down there that locks up nice and tight. And they followed us right in. So that was no good. And I had my trike. I have this really weird wagon thing. It's kind of like my farm mobile. And that thing is slow as fuck. There's no escaping fast with that. So we had to then run out of there, basically pop smoke, get the fuck out. And Liam had a major adrenaline dump. Obviously, he's a young kid. He hasn't been in situations like this. He's like most people in the first world. They've had it very easy. So when situations like this come up, they don't know how to handle it and they kind of freak out. So, and rightfully so. I mean, we're completely surrounded by bees. I have so many stingers in my head right now, it would make your fucking head spin. I probably have about 100 stingers in my head right now, as well as that. And that's just in my head. Not to mention my back and everywhere else. Like, we got fucked up by these bees, and Liam does too. He's got stingers all over him. I've already pulled out a bunch. And I explained to him after, when we finally made it back up the hill, we just kind of caught our breath because it's all uphill. We had to run uphill. We're in the mountains here, right? So I just calmed him down. Towards the end, I basically had to push him up and get him the fuck out of there because he had a massive adrenaline dump. And for those of you that think I'm just telling a story for the sake of telling a story, that's not what I'm doing here. This relates directly to trading. Now, obviously, you're not going to have a freak out like on that level when you're behind the monitors, or at least you shouldn't. If you're doing that, you're probably not cut out for this. But what people do is they internalize that level of a freak out. And like I explained to my son, when you are in situations like that and you freak out, and I asked him, I said, do you remember how quickly you lost your breath and you had no more energy? And he said, yeah. And he plays sports. He plays lacrosse. He plays football. He's extremely active. And I mean, cardio isn't his strong suit, but still, he's very active. And he immediately had no cardio left, no breath left. And that's due to increasing your heart rate and everything else. And I like when things like this happen. Obviously, it's a dangerous situation, but I think this is how people grow. And he'll never forget this as long as he lives. He'll always remember this. And after pointing out about the adrenaline dump, it's always going to be in the back of his mind that next time something like this happens, you have to do your best to remain calm. Because I asked him, I said, do you remember how calm I was? And told you just to breathe and get relaxed and just everything's fine. I'm right here and pushing him up the hill. Because I said, it doesn't do you any good. If you're by yourself, you're not going to be able to make it out on your own. And you're also going to put that person that you're with in jeopardy, because now he's going to have to go back for you and go back into whatever fucked up situation that you're in. And it's the same thing with this. Now, obviously, day trading is not a team sport, and it's only you behind the monitors. But it is kind of a team sport, because if you freak out when you're doing your job, you don't have a partner beside you, right? There's no teammate beside you, but your family is there, and people that rely on you to do your job, because that's what this is. This is doing your job. And trading isn't just about executing that trade, okay? The strategy and executing is fucking easy. There's nothing to it, man. Strategy, I've given away my full strategy a million times. It doesn't matter. People think that that's what matters, but it doesn't. It's all the mentality and the emotional control aspect. This is why I focus so much on it in my service, as well as these videos on YouTube for you guys and X. And it's important to understand when you're in these trades, it's no different than that situation of getting fucked up by killer bees, man. Like for those of you that have never seen them, I used to laugh at that. No, they're no fucking joke. They're on you. It's a black cloud and they're fucking on you. And there's no getting out of there. Like, you got to get yourself out of there. And the only way to do that is to remain calm. And that's how you have to trade. You have to remain calm. There's going to be things that pop up that come up out of nowhere. And another question that I asked my son is, I said, did you recognize, do you see how quickly that happened? See, a lot of people have this delusional is. No, the fact is, when shit happens, it happens very fast. And the ones that make it out alive are the ones that can keep calm. And that's no different than trading. If you find that your heart rate is always elevated, and you need to work on that. And that comes in time. I'm not saying you're going to be able to flick a switch, but it is something that you do need to be cognizant of, and you need to be obviously aware of. Because there is no difference between what my son and I just went through and this. Nothing. There's no difference. There's levels of severity, but it's the same. And yeah, it's just it's something that a lot of people neglect as traders, of getting their emotions under control. But how many times have you guys been in a trade that goes a little bit against you, and you're really flippant with it? You're not on your guard. You're like, it'll be fine. And then it drops out on you. And then what happens? Heart rate elevates, it spikes, and you don't know what to do. And that's what was going on down there. My son didn't know what to do, nor should he, right? Why would he be exposed to something like that, right? You know what I mean? So, but all of you watching are adults. And I'm sure some of you have lived interesting lives. And you need to take some of that interesting life that I'm sure some of you have lived and bring that into your trading, because there really is no difference. And it's very important that we keep under control. So I just thought that there's a good correlation between those things, because when shit pops off in a trade, right? Like, not when it just barely breaks that level, but when you get that big crack or it squeezes against you, that's where people fuck shit up. And that's where the most damage is caused. And you'll never see me in those situations have damage. It doesn't happen. Why? Because I've worked for over a decade honing my craft and understanding what's going on these charts, as well as, and more importantly, managing emotions and getting those under control. Being in control. If I asked all of you right now, are you in control? A blanket statement, not even just talking about trading. Are you in control? I would be willing to say that you would probably immediately respond yes. And the fact of it is, it's probably 5% of the population that's out there is technically and legitimately fully under control. Think about that. That's fucked up, man, right? So you have to ask yourself, do you want to be the 95% of people that are not in control? Or do you want to be that 10% that are in control? Because who has an advantage in life? The ones that are in control, right? And that's what this boils down to. And that's why this little conversation is important. So if you want to stop spinning your wheels and actually learn how to do this professionally, legitimately professionally, not some kid gambling, right? But actually show you how to do this, come to tricktrades.com. You'll work with a coach that actually gives a shit, which is me. And I'll show you how to do this. If not, okay, you don't have to. You can continue watching my free stuff here on YouTube, but you do have to subscribe and you do have to like these videos. I think that's only fair. But it will take you longer. That's all. You'll be able to piece it together, but it will take you longer. So if you're someone that doesn't want to wait and wants to get this shit done, get her done. Come to tricktrades.com. Okay, folks, I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Adios.